Ciao Maria.
Good morning to all of you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, hello Georgiana.
Hi. Hello. My webcam.
So who is the head of the meeting? Dana, Matteo, who is coordinating us?
It will be, yes, me, Sabina.
Okay.
And
Dina and Dana.
Hello.
Okay.
we're just waiting. We're just waiting for all the partners to log in, to connect. I don't know if there is someone who's missing. So George is here. Tatiana, is Tatiana
Yes.
here? Yes. Okay. Hello, Tatiana.
Hi. Good morning. Hi.
And then we have from Northeast Agency, we have just Georgiana, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And from LAZIO region, I can see Maria and Gianmarco and Fabrizia. I can see also that Fabrizia is connected. And then from Friuli Venezia Giulia region, we have Simona Paccioli. We have
Corrado Campobasso. Hello.
Carol.
Carol should be
Yeah,
there.
hi, Corrado.
Hi.
Here as well. Hey,
Yes. Hi. Hi.
Carol. Okay, great. So I think okay, I'm having some problems with the connection. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's start. Let's start with the meeting. So yes.
Matteo, sorry to interrupt. Before we start, shall we use the rule that we switch off the webcam to keep the connection lighter?
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think it would be.
Yeah. We switch off the webcam. We let
Yeah, I
it
would
on
get.
meeting, and then when we have the discussion, we turn it on altogether again because the net is very overloaded in Italy. So
Yes.
doesn't work that well. Okay.
So it's better to switch off the the webcam. Okay.
Yeah, just the webcam and the microphone if you have some background noise.
Okay.
And only the person who speaks keeps it on. So in this case, Matteo can keep it on. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I hope that everything is working because my Wi-Fi connection is not working very well. Because as Sabina was saying, the connection is overloaded in this period. But let's hope for the best. So let's start with the meeting. I would like to thank you all for being here. As you know, this is the working group one meeting, and it is related to the capacity building program that we as ECOSISTEMI were supposed to deliver face to face in Gabrovo during the 5th transnational learning event in Gabrovo. But as you know, the event was postponed due to the outspread of the COVID-19. So we decided to organize it in this way by dividing all the partners into groups. And let's say that each working group. So the working group of today will be then followed by the working group of tomorrow, and each working group is dedicated to is focused to let's say it's dedicated to the discussion of some of the actions already included in your action plans. And the objective of these meetings is to support you, to support the partners in further developing and improving the action plans based on the inputs, so the observations, the suggestions, and the questions that each partner will receive during the discussion. So basically, the objective is to enable you all to benefit from a mutual learning process. Sabina is here. My colleague Sabina is here. Our colleague Sabina is here today to support us with moderating the meeting. So she will introduce the methodology of the working group of today, and she will give you the words. She will decide who is going to present the action among you. So the order of the presentation. So I will pass the word to Sabina.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello. So as Matteo said, we tried to devise some kind of interactive workshop also through the web, which is not the easiest thing to do. So we will need your active cooperation in order to make this meeting interesting and useful for all of you. So how we structured the morning, you probably saw it in the agenda. We will have about 1.5 hours of presentation of each action plan, and we will give space to some meiotic exploration of each action plan. So the idea is that before we adventure into reciprocal suggestions on how to improve each action plan, we will first help each other to focus better on the problem setting and to ask each other some questions that can help us to better focus on the main flows and the main strengths of each action plan. So I hope you will be very cooperative in the question time. Also because you can bear in mind that some questions that you ask or that you listen for one action plan might be useful and might be relate to your action plan as well. So the idea is that by helping the others, you help yourself as well by clarifying better objectives and tools and means of implementation of each action plan. Obviously, doing this at distance, it's not the most natural and an easy thing to do, but we will try anyway. So we will have around the presentations, and we gave you more or less 5 minutes to present the action plan and the work you've done so far. We decided to keep the presentation quite short because there will be time to explore it more in depth with the other partners through the question time and also through the problem solving time. So don't worry about if you feel that the time is too short, you can take some extra minutes, or if you need less time, use the time that you need basically. And but don't worry because we will explore it further and more in depth in the interactive part. So I will pass you the word. If you agree, we can have the following order. So Bulgaria, CSEG can go first, and then we can have LAZIO, and then we can have Romania, ADR, and then we can have Friuli Venezia region. And So the person who presents will switch on the webcam. If you have some slides, you can share your desktop and you can show us the slides, and you can take, let's say, more or less 5 minutes. So if you need less, take less. If you need more, take more. And after that, all of us can switch on the webcam again, and we can have some interaction, first asking questions, and then in the second part, trying to propose some solutions. Obviously, I ask you to try to listen to each other and to make the most out of this interaction. Okay, so if CSEG is ready, hello, George.
Hello.
Yes, I'll switch off my webcam and let you speak. And I don't know if you have a presentation to share or not.
Yes, I share my screen now. Thank you, Sabina. Thank you, Matteo, for this excellent introduction. Maybe you see now my screen.
Yes.
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 Okay.
I will deactivate my webcam to let you speak.
Okay. So I start first with the Bulgarian policy instrument. In our region, we target to the regional plan for development of South Central region. South Central region of Bulgaria is relatively large area with 58 municipalities, 5 regional administrations, and about 1.4 million people, which is really a significant region. Our action plan will directly influence on 2 specific objectives of this policy document. These are specific objectives 6 and specific objective 7. Prevention of the effect of climate change and supporting the transition to a low carbon economy. They are within the priority 1.3 development of infrastructure for environmental protection and adaptation to climate change. And they outline the measures that municipalities should uptake. The municipalities, this is the key word here. The improvement of local policy bylaws, when we say bylaws, we mean local programs for development, local programs for improving of air quality, for energy efficiency, improvement and renewable energy sources introduction, etc. So when in order to mitigate the effects of climate change is among the main priorities of the regional plan. Green public procurement will bring a significant added value for their implementation. And the idea of our regional plan is to improve local policy bylaws in these 58 municipalities and regional authorities, 5. The action which we will discuss here now, we have discussed with our stakeholders several actions, but now we are going to present a regional environmental help desk. This action was inspired by the exchange of experience activities which we had in Romania in 2019, where our Romanian partners from several municipalities presented several local development programs and energy programs. Barriers which we will address are, well, during our meetings with the stakeholders, we identified several barriers, and some of them are lack of capacity among local authorities to develop policy programs at a local level, each municipality in Bulgaria has to develop a lot of local bylaws. For example, energy efficiency program, a program for introduction of renewable energy sources, local development program, etc., etc. They need to develop maybe about 5 to 10 different sustainable programs. And we noticed that most of the municipalities either do not develop such programs, or if they develop such programs, these programs are not very detailed. They are not customized to the local conditions. They just take a program from another municipality, replace the name of the municipality and say, look, we have a program, but it is not actually a program. So we want to develop customized programs taking into details the specific feature of the region, of the respective municipality. This action, specific action, foresees to provide technical expertise, knowledge, specific knowledge on how the public authorities develop their local bylaws, which are the expected outcomes. Of course, we expect at the end of the period to have more local policy bylaws, to increase the number, and of course to increase the number of improved local policy bylaws. On the other question, of course, we want the final target is to reduce energy consumption of public buildings and larger deployment of renewable energy sources. Of course, public buildings can be a very good example to the population and to the local business. And for this reason, we think that the public should start, and after this good experience should be transferred also to the other two sectors, households and SMEs. Activities within this action, we haven't yet detailed much of the activities, but just in general, we foresee in general 3 major activities. We start first with a short research on the existence of such local policy bylaws in our municipalities from the region. We should identify if they need to be improved, if they exist, etc. And after this, activity number 2, we expect to perform a campaign targeting at these public authorities, organizing for them workshops, also bilateral meetings with representatives of the municipalities, and discuss with them on topics related to the development of such policy bylaws. Of course, when we mention development of such local bylaws, we always want to integrate the concept of green public procurement in this policy strategies. We already have experience in the development of such programs, and with 2 or 3 municipalities from our region, we already developed such programs where we integrated exactly the GPP concept in a several chapter of the program. And the activity number 3 will be dedicated at the end of this phase, will be dedicated to monitoring the impact of this measure. We want to analyze what was the effect. Stakeholders which we target, I already mentioned the key stakeholders. These are the 58 municipalities from our region, also 5 regional administrations. Of course, there are some other stakeholders like Ministry of Regional Development, which is the main beneficiary of the regional development plan of our policy instrument. Of course, we want to involve NGOs and representatives of business, because they are very important when we develop local bylaws. Were they involved in the definition of the action plan? Yes, of course. During the stakeholders group, we have large representation of local authorities and also of non-governmental sector. And this specific action was discussed with them during the stakeholder meetings. We already organized several stakeholder meetings during GPP-STREAM project. Which role do they have? Of course, the local authorities, the municipalities, implement the policies which we want to develop, while the NGOs, energy agencies, and business representatives are expected to contribute with consultations, with some specific advices when we develop the bylaws, and monitoring role will be for the ministry representatives. Of course, they want to see the results at the end. Staff costs, we haven't think much about this. Maybe we will predict some staff cost for this action, and of course some cost will be dedicated to organization of workshops and meetings with the stakeholders. Of course, mainly the main funding source will be own resources. Is your action measurable? Yes, we want to measure and to monitor it in the final stage of phase 2. I just want to add that this environmental help desk will be run in the next 2 years, so it will cover entirely phase 2. So maybe at the end of phase 2 we have to predict some monitoring stage. Some examples of monitoring indicators could be number of trained employees from the municipalities, for example, or also number of other participants in this action. By other participants, we mean representatives from the non-governmental sectors, researchers, representatives of energy agencies, etc. And of course, very important indicator will be a number of developed and or improved bylaws. And that was my short presentation about our action. If you have any questions, we can discuss it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Georgi. Very interesting actions, and I'm sure there will be some questions. Maybe you can switch off the screen now. Or I don't know if we can keep the webcams and the screen at the same time. Maybe yes. Yes.
Yes.
We can do that. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah. I think I would like to invite everyone else to switch on the webcam, and please to ask your questions. I thought, because it's not many of us, we don't need to book a specific order to ask the questions. But then if we see that we overlap, then I'll make a list to give you the speech through the chat. But let's try freestyle first. Okay. Okay. Whoever would like to start. The scope of the question, the main intent of this question time is to better clarify the action that was proposed, and to see if there is a space for improvement, or if there are some aspects that are not completely clear. Please.
So if I can intervene. So Georgi, I think that the action is very well described. It's very clear. the thing is that my only doubt is that your action is focused on the improvement, and if I understood it well, your action is focused on improvement of and development of local policy bylaws. So, which is a good thing in the sense that through the GPP-STREAM project, you are aiming at contributing to the improvement of other policy instruments, and not only the policy instruments that you are specifically addressing within GPP-STREAM. But the thing is that what is not clear here is the link to your main policy instrument that in your case is the regional operational program of South Central region. So the questions that I would suggest you to think about is, how is your action on the local bylaws supposed to improve your policy instruments? How is your action? How is this help desk? Is this improvement of the region of the local policy bylaws supposed to improve the regional operational program of South Central region? So this is one of the questions that I would like to address to Giorgi. And then, so I don't know if I mean, I thought about like the potential links, but maybe we can like keep these suggestions for the next for the next session, for the problem solving time. I don't know, Sabina, if you agree.
No, I think if Jorge has already an answer for this question, he can obviously reply to the question, and if not, he can take the question and we can discuss it all together later on. Maybe it's an aspect that you already thought of, but you didn't, you haven't described in detail yet. So if this is the case, Georgi, please, you can reply to the question, or otherwise we can discuss it all together in the second round.
Yes, it's a very good question about relevance of the to the policy instrument. We will double check again with the policy instrument, but as I mentioned, among the specific objective 6, I think prevention of the effects of the climate change was one of the key priority within this objective was exactly to mention that we have to develop local policy bylaws, and it was mentioned in the regional plan of South Central region. So maybe there is a direct link between the local policy bylaws and this regional policy instrument. But of course, we will double check this again and come with a better explanation.
But can I ask you a question, Giorgi? But how does this improvement, the improvement of these local bylaws, does it translate into a higher uptake of GPP at the local level? And if yes, how?
Well, if you read carefully the application form, we are the only partner with indicator which does not target exactly the percentage, the share of GPP when we improve our policy program. Our main indicator, in spite of all the other indicators, is to improve the local policy bylaws. So we aim at the end, we want this, and indirectly, of course, this will influence GPP because in every policy bylaw which we want to improve, we want to integrate separate chapter dedicated to green public procurement, a separate some measures which we want to integrate in these local bylaws. So of course, at the end, we will influence GPP, but our main key indicator is this to increase the improved local bylaws.
Okay.
No, I'm just making this observation because it might be an observation that the JS might make as well in the next review, in the next review to the action plan. So because you know that the JS is like wants each partner to mainly address the policy instruments that that you were supposed to address within the GPP stream. So the direct impact of your action on the policy instrument, that in your case is the regional operational program. So try to think about this and try to think more about the links, the relevance of your action, not just this action, but all the actions, including your action plan. This relevance for the policy instrument, for your main policy instrument.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Are there other questions? Maybe something that can relate. Yes.
I have a question about, it's quite specific actually. It's about, I go back to the slide. Okay, about the staff. As I guess your action will address different issues, climate change rather than other energy or other issues. How are you going to decide what kind of staff? Are you going to find someone who is like an expert in everything? Are you going to have a team of people? Did you already think about this practical solution?
Well, we in fact we already, our organization has a team of experts which is already have some expertise on development of energy efficiency plans and programs, and also renewable energy sources programs. So more or less we have expertise here in the organization. But of course, if we need some very specific knowledge on some topic, our idea is to invite also a larger circle of experts to the workshops that we are going to organize, like other NGOs, like environmental agencies. So they have specific expertise and knowledge, and they could be invited also to contribute to the development of specific documents.
Okay. I don't know if you have some other questions. No? Okay, I have just one last question for you. You mentioned very well that you engage your local stakeholders in the stakeholders meetings in different ways, and I was wondering what has been the reaction of municipalities who will have then to use the help desk that you'll be setting up, if they showed interest, or if I don't know, what was their reply? If you have engaged them yet already, and what do you expect from them?
We already organized several meetings with stakeholders. On these meetings, we had representatives exactly from the local authorities, also from the NGO sector. And in fact, this measure was proposed by some of the municipalities, so it's very welcome by them, because some of them lack of specific knowledge and expertise on topics like energy efficiency, like especially renewable energy sources. So they welcome very well such measure, and actually it comes from them. So we are working every day with municipalities, so it's very good idea, I think.
That's brilliant. Okay. I don't know if there are any other questions. I heard somebody. No?
Can
okay.
Matteo?
Yes.
Matteo?
So, yes, Georgie, going back to your local policy bylaws, I was wondering, have you thought about like how you're going to monitor the improvement of GPP within each local policy bylaws? Because, for example, the expected outcomes in terms of greater uptake of GPP, or in general, in terms of expected outcomes, in terms of greater supply of goods and services, because when you presented, if you can go, if you can put the slide where you are presenting the outcomes of your action. Going back, if you can go back, here we go. When you the last one. Yes, that's the one. So when you said that when we are here, the question is which are the expected outcomes in terms of greater supply of goods and services with a reduced environmental impact. So here, what we were looking for was to try to understand if through the implementation of your action, you are expecting an increase in the market of an increase of the number of construction companies that are able to improve the energy efficiency of buildings or install renewable energy systems. So what we were wondering, we were looking for is the answer to the question, which is the impact of this action in this regard. So is it possible to make an estimate, a prediction of the number of the greater supply of this kind of service? So a greater or increase in the number of construction companies with the ability, the skills to do this kind of intervention, to do this kind of interventions related to energy efficiency, or to install renewable energy systems.
Yes.
So try to think about also in this sense.
Yes, I agree. It's very good proposal, which I personally haven't thought about this, because when we develop such programs, the major indicator which we introduce in them is, for example, energy saved within a given period of time. So if the program, for example, covers 5 or 10 years, we expect from the municipality to save 20 or 40% of energy. But of course, the suppliers of energy services are very important in this chain. So increasing their share of services is very good indicator also, which could be measured at the end. So we can think about this. We can think, yes.
Yeah. So think also about in terms of outcomes, in terms of the impact of your action, in the transition of the market towards an energy, a resource efficiency, a more resource efficiency production and consumption system.
Yes.
So, okay.
Okay. Thank you, Matteo. We already moved with your intervention to the problem-solving part. I don't know if I can share the screen. Right? Yes. So just a second. Let's see. I took some notes of the questions that were asked before, and I don't know if there are some further comments or integrations to what has already been said. So the questions regarded how the action is going to improve the regional plan, how the action is going to influence directly green public procurement, how will you find staff with different expertise if needed, and what is the expected response of municipalities, and how you're going to monitor the improvement of GPP in each local bylaw. If I haven't understood correctly, please correct me. And I don't know if there's something that anyone wants to add, what has already been said. No? Okay.
Yeah, Sabina, just the first question is should be referred to the regional operational program, not the regional plan. Just a very small, minor correction.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So while you were thinking, I was just thinking that all the reference to GPP maybe can be addressed by making sure that you make it very explicit when you describe the action. So maybe that's what the managing authority is already giving some significant evidence that you're actually addressing GPP, even though it's not the main objective.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Shall we move to the next one? Now I shared my screen. I don't know how to unshare it. Okay, yeah. So if it's okay with you, I will pass the word to LAZIO region.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. I am in my kitchen today. That is my workstation. And I have some problem with my connection, but I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can, more or less.
Yes, Maria.
Okay.
I have some problem with the audio. Okay. Let's try.
Okay. Our policy instrument in LAZIO region is the Rural Development Plan. The action plan should improve the integration of GPP approach in the Rural Development Plan. Actually, since 2015, LAZIO region has already implemented in Rural Development Plan, approved by European Commission, the environmental priorities established by European regulation, promoting resources efficiency and supporting the shift towards a low carbon and climate resilient economy in agriculture, food and forestry sectors. These priorities are already integrated in the public notices within Rural Development Plan by specific selection criteria. Our action plan could improve the awareness of potential beneficiaries of public funds towards a green public procurement approach, also at private level. Because in Italy, since 2016, the use of environmental criteria in the public tenders is an obligation. Okay. There's problem.
È un PDF?
There's a problem. Ci sono dei problemi con la connessione proprio.
Ah, ok. Yeah, the connection is terrible everywhere.
Ok.
But if sharing this it's slower, we can follow you. Everyone has received it by email anyway, so you can just talk and we can listen. If you find it that the sharing the screen that is slowing down the connection.
Okay.
If I can suggest, it's Nicola on the phone. Maybe Fondazione, you could share the screen and so we can all follow the presentation. Maria could speak. I don't know if it's practical to do so.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea. I will do that.
Yeah.
Okay. The name of the.
Just give me 2 seconds. Here we go. Can you see the screen, everyone?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
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 Just a second. Here we go. Okay, what's going on? Okay, can you see the screen?
Okay.
Can you see my screen, Maria? Okay.
The other slide.
You.
Okay. This. Yeah. Yes.
This one. Okay.
Okay. This one. Okay. One of the action, one of the activity of our action plan is the improving the communication to citizens regarding GPP and its. I have some problem to follow the presentation. Okay, and its environmental and economic benefits. We have chosen this action analyzing the best practices collected from the presentations and the field visits held during the 4 transnational meetings, and after the discussion with one of the local action group, Terre di Pregio, about the need to increase awareness of the environmental and economic benefits of a GPP approach for beneficiaries of European funds. Within a regional development plan, there is a specific measure, the measure number 19, that fund local action groups. These groups realize a specific local development plan. So our attention is specifically on this activity, the plan realized by local action groups. The other slide, please. Okay. We have detected some barriers related to the integration of GPP in our policy instrument, and in particular, the private beneficiaries of public funds perceive green public procurement approach not economically advantageous, and the public beneficiaries perceive the national obligation to adopt environmental criteria in the public tenders, bureaucratic delays. Furthermore, the market for beneficiaries is still unprepared for a widespread conversion towards green procurement. So to overcome this barrier, it's important improving the awareness of public and private beneficiaries of public funds that is possible realize innovative investment project through the adoption of a green public procurement approach. Within the rural development plan at regional level, each priority identified by European regulation is monitored by managing authority. And the indicators for this monitoring is the spending performance. The environmental priority of the plan is the priority number 5, and it is linked to the measure of interest of GPP-STREAM project. In the planning phase of rural development plan since 2015, a spending target was given to European Commission for each priority. So the monitoring data are sent in a specific informative system by the LAZIO region to the European Commission in an annual report. In our action plan, we could verify if the regional target for priority 5 was respected not only at regional level but also at local level in the local development plan realized by local action groups. And we could improve this survey realizing a specific monitoring within this priority in the local action plans realized by local action groups. The other slide, please. Okay. This is a slide presentation. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. The name of activity is awareness raising seminars for the beneficiaries of the Rural Development Plan funds. The objective is the definition of a communication and information strategy aimed at beneficiaries of the local development rural plan related to the GPP and the monitoring system of the level of awareness acquired by beneficiaries. The other slide. Okay, our stakeholders involved in the implementation of the action are local action group Terre di Pregio and a regional in-house society, LAZIO Innova, already involved in other European projects related to green public procurement. For example, LAZIO Innova was involved in a life project GPP-STREAM. These stakeholders will be involved in the definition of the action plan, and the collaboration with local action group Terre di Pregio and LAZIO Innova SPA is important to realize meeting and webinar with beneficiaries of local action group. We have already realized a meeting in June 2019. based on some information about environmental criteria and the green public procurement in the public tenders, but also in the procurement, green procurement for private beneficiaries. The role of our stakeholders is supporting the definition of a communication and information strategy aimed at beneficiaries of local development rural plan funds related to the green public procurement and monitoring system at level of awareness acquired by beneficiaries. The other slides. There aren't additional costs for the implementation of our action plan at the moment. Our action plan is miserable because we have to define a specific questionnaire linked to each payment request of beneficiaries within local development rural plan. The indicators have yet specifically to be defined and could be reported in the payment questionnaire, where the beneficiaries have to describe if their investment project was a green procurement, how much expensive to realize was this procurement. So one monitoring indicator could be the number of projects and the related amount of funds received that have implemented a green procurement investment approach. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for my connection.
No, don't worry, don't worry. That's a common problem to everyone, I think, at the moment. They come and go their connection. So, as we did before, I will ask everyone else if you want to switch on your webcam. I'll do the same. And I don't know if there are some questions from the floor for you, Maria. Also from the other partners.
Maria, I would like to discuss about activity 1, awareness campaign. Yes. So we also have an action in the action plan that aims awareness campaigns. Could you please tell me how you will define the topics of the discussion that will take place in the meetings you planned? For example, in our case, we want these awareness campaigns to be done online to reach a wider audience, but to focus more on education, like university and county schools inspectorates, because they are making larger green public procurements. And we would like to focus on introducing the green criteria in public procurement and circular economy. Could you please detail your action? Maybe this will help us too. Thank you.
Okay. I don't hear very well the question.
If I understood properly, the question is how, in action 1, how will you select and detail the topics that will be tackled and discussed? Is that correct?
Practically, how do you do your awareness campaign? What are the steps?
Ok. Quindi come condurrete la vostra campagna di sensibilizzazione?
We have already started this communication strategy and information strategy with our stakeholders. since June 2019. We have realized a meeting with beneficiaries of one of local action group. That is our study case in our action plan. And the participants to this meeting were private and public beneficiaries of European funds. Another step webinar in December, because in that event we have the participation also of in-house society LAZIO Innova. That is an important society for the green procurement at level. And in that case, the webinar was aimed for private and public beneficiaries, in particular for the construction of a green procurement. How a public administration can be applied in public tender environmental criteria, and how private beneficiaries could access to the market for green procurement in our investment. The other step to define our action plan is realize other information and information meetings on this matter, on GPP, in order to understand the barrier and needs, in particular from private beneficiaries. And the last step is linked the funding of rural development plan to the specific survey. Okay.
Very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That was a complete answer. And I don't know if there are other questions, please. Yes, please.
Yes, so Maria, the question is, when you relate with private stakeholders, do they express concerns, fears, barriers towards introducing GPP criteria, and what kind of concern do they express?
For private beneficiaries, the green procurement is difficult to apply because the market, in their opinion, is unprepared for these activities for GPP. And for public administration is difficult applied environmental criteria because it's difficult to build a public tenders for with this target. In particular, some public administration are not prepared on environmental criteria. So it is important to improve the awareness and knowledge of environmental criteria, because it's important to build a public tender really efficient. And our action plan has this target, this objective. I don't.
Okay. Was that that's the first answer, and then I don't know if we have some other questions.
Yes. Can I make some questions? I have some questions for Maria. The first question is the same one that I addressed also to Georgie. So how this action is supposed to improve your policy instrument, which is, in your case is the rural development plan. And another question would be, what is supposed to be the result of this increased awareness? Is it supposed to translate into a higher number of green tenders? And if yes, what is your expected outcome in terms of increase, in terms of higher number, increase of adoption of GPP tenders? And finally, another question would be, it is related to the expected outcomes in terms of the supply of goods and services. Yeah.
No, I was asking you to ask one question at a time, but that's fine. I missed your last question.
My last question is my last question was what is your expected outcome in terms of increase of GPP tenders, resulting from the increase of awareness of the beneficiaries of the EU funds.
And the second one as well.
The last one was how are you going to assess how are you going to assess if your action has reached the objectives that you were targeting? It will be through the local action plan that you will assess if the action has reached the objectives that you set.
Okay, so the first one is how this action is going to improve directly the rural development plan. The second one is what is the expected outcome on GPP. And the third one is how are you going to assess if your action has met the established goals?
Okay.
Yeah, the second one was also what is supposed to be the result of this increased awareness. So if it's supposed to translate into a higher number of green tenders, and how, and if yes, how is going to translate into this higher number of green tenders?
Okay. Rural development plan at the moment have already a monitoring system, but this monitoring system is only at regional level and is based only on spending performance. So there aren't specific indicator on GPP approach. It's difficult to apply the indicator of GPP approach at regional level, but it's possible apply indicators of GPP at local level. So our action plan could realize a specific monitoring at local level in the local development rural plan realized by local action groups. And for this purpose, our action plan should improve the awareness of beneficiaries on GPP approach. If is possible at the moment realize public tenders with environmental criteria, because at the national level this is an obligation, at private level is not easy to realize. So it's important for our action plan realize a specific meeting for information of potential private beneficiaries on green public procurement in order to overcome barriers and to respect the needs of these beneficiaries that perceive at the moment the green procurement as difficult to realize. For this reason, our action plan has involved a society, LAZIO Innova, that have the expertise on green public procurement. In the monitoring phase of our action plan, we should use specific indicators, not only related on spending performance, but we want to understand if the beneficiaries of European funds within local development rural plan have realized an investment project with the green public procurement, how difficulties they have met, and how many projects are realized with green public procurement in terms of number of projects and spending performance. This is a monitoring system different to monitoring system applied at moment at regional level, such as is established by European Commission. So it is important to improve the integration of green public procurement in rural development plan, starting at the local level. I don't know is
yes.
Can you
hear
me?
You missed the last question, maybe, or did I miss the answer to the last question? The last question was how we are going to assess. Is that implicit in the what you were saying about the monitoring at local level?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We have to define a specific questionnaire linked to each payment request of beneficiaries of local development rural plan. In this questionnaire, we should assess the level of awareness of green public procurement, if the green public procurement was applied in the investment project, and how much expensive to realize was this procurement. So we want to know for each payment request of beneficiaries the barriers met during the investment project, and the spending performance for each project. So number of projects, spending performance for each project, and eventually barriers met during the building of investment project.
Thank you. That was very clear. I don't know if there are some more questions. Otherwise, I would move on to the next. I'll just show you briefly the.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm Simona Faccioli, and okay, and my question is more, I think, a reflection about one of the most important issue, I think, is on GPP. and is about the barriers you were talking about in your presentation, and one of them was that the market is not prepared. So as I think that the main purpose of GPP is to create a green market. So I think that for me this is a very, very important issue, and that is it's better to clarify this issue. So do you think that this is a real barrier, a real problem? Because I think, in my opinion, my experience, that the market is more prepared than that we think, that public administration think, and that the problem is related to the way to recognize green products more than to find them in the market. So I think it's not a lot a problem of reliability, but a problem of recognition. The problem is to recognize green products. What do you think about it?
Okay, the market is composed from supply and demand. So it's important to the stakeholders of supply and of demand. So our action plan as an objective prepared, informed the stakeholder, the potential beneficiaries, that there are more benefits to use green public procurement, and the green public procurement, in my opinion, is more easy to apply in investment project than the perceive of private and public beneficiaries. So for this reason, to improve the green procurement, it's important to prepare the stakeholder about this potential benefit.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if there are more general considerations on the to provide more answers to the questions that were posed, although it seems that Lazio region has already addressed many of the questions that were asked. If not, we can move to the next presentation, which would be ADR, the Romanian partner.
Yes,
Sorry.
just a second to share my screen.
Yes.
So, it's okay? You can see the presentation?
Now we can.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So the policy instruments addressed under the GPP-STREAM project is the Regional Operational Program 2014 and 2020. More specifically, the Priority Axis 4, supporting sustainable urban development. And the investment priority is 4.2, carrying out action aimed at improving the urban environment. So currently, under the investment priority 4.2, there are already 6 projects in implementation within the Northeast region as following. Piatra Neamț municipality has 3 projects, Iași municipality has 2 projects, and Suceava municipality has 1 project. The project activity that inspired us the adoption of the following action was elaborated by us and by Gabrovo municipality through the toolkit for GPP compliance and beneficiary of EU funds. So overall, this toolkit inspired us to adjust the content of the checklist for the procedure for awarding public procurement contracts. Okay. The public procurers procedures carrying out the projects funded and implemented by the regional operational program are checked by the AROP's intermediate bodies procurement department. So in this process, they use the checklist of the procedure for awarding public procurement contracts, elaborated accordingly with the National Public Procurement Law. So basically, we want to insert some highlights in the GPP criteria in this checklist. The nature of this action are adjusting the contents, as I said before, creation of a consultative group of experts within the agency by team of members and AROP's intermediate body public procurement experts, whose mission is to analyze the present checklist and the submission of the revised checklist to the managing authority for approval. The time frame is the time frame for implementation of this action is during 2020 and 2023 because of the period that includes N+3 rule of the policy. In the first phase, we will elaborate the first draft version of the checklist in somewhere in June. Then we will discuss with the consultative group in July. We will submit the checklist to the managing authority in August. And when we will receive the approval or not, hopefully at late August. The stakeholders involved are the 3 municipalities who has already in implementation, projects in implementation. Sorry. So Piatra Neamț municipality, Iași municipality, Suceava municipality, and the Ministry of Public Works because they are the managing authorities. Costs and fundings. Estimated cost is 200 euros, representing the equivalent of staff costs, and funding source is own resources. The monitoring process of this action can be evaluate how many funded projects implemented included GPP criteria in their public procurement procedures. And we will find this with the help of the checklist. We will use this monitoring tool to check the percentage of GPP indicators in the tenders. But for this one, we will need a specific law for GPP. And the indicators are going to be defined jointly through consultation with the AROP's intermediate body procurement department, approved by managing authority. So this is it. This is my presentation. If you have any question, please.
Thank you very much. That was extra clear.
Thank you.
If there are some questions, please make them now.
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. The first one is maybe it's my problem of understanding because it's about the cost. Is 200 related to the cost per hour of staff involved in the project? I do not understand. And the second question is that I think that, of course, monitoring is very important for the implementation of GPP. So did you already start thinking about the checklist content? And yes, what is the main lines on it? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so for the first question, the 200 euros are related to the staff costs, but this already happens. So there are not additional costs.
Okay.
Implied.
Okay.
And yes, so we started to think about the changes for the checklist, but we need to have the final draft. So we are a lot of people working on this, and we are discussing about the new criteria that we need to introduce, because for the actual checklist, we are using the public procurement law. So in this moment, the Ministry of Environment is working at the GPP law. So we are hoping they finish in time, so we can introduce some of the criteria in that law in our checklist. So this is why we need to wait a little in order to send the final checklist to the managing authority.
Okay, so you think that the GPP law will be ready in few months?
I hope so.
Okay.
I really hope so. I don't know how to answer to this question, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Some other questions? Maybe your presentation was too clear.
Thank you.
I don't know, Matteo, do you have some questions?
Well, I have a suggestion more than a question.
Okay.
So maybe for the next. But so you said that you link your action to one of the activities of the project, which is the activity number 18, so the elaboration of toolkits for GPP compliance. Since like JS is like it's looking at like links that are more like focused on the interregional exchange of experience. So I would also like suggest you to also take into account the best practice that was presented during the transnational learning event in Alzira. And I'm talking about the best practice of the LAZIO region, the LAZIO region funding called Energy 2.0, which is kind of like similar, I can say, similar to your action. I mean, you can like say that you took inspiration also from this best practice, because these practices consist of to provide specific guidelines to guide the beneficiaries, of the EU funds through the practical incorporation of GPP criteria into the procurement process, by identifying the relevant technical specifications to be incorporated, first of all. And so it's kind of like there are guidelines. I know that in your case it's more a monitoring tool, but it's also like something that in some way it is useful for the beneficiaries to adopt GPP criteria.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if there are some more comments, suggestions, or questions. No? Okay, we can move to the next and final presentation, which is Friuli.
Hello. Thank you for giving the floor to us. The presentation will be introduced by Simona Faccioli, who is working on it. So I leave the floor to Simona.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So I start with my presentation. So it's okay? Can you see it?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you very much. So the policy instrument is the Investment for Growth and Jobs program, and 214-220. The action identified are 4, and the first one is a discussion table for integrated governance. The second one is a public-private working table for dialogue between public stakeholders, business, and other players. The third one is dedicated calls for the implementation of the environmental criteria. And the next one is a map of environmental certification that I'm going to show to you now, that aims to stimulate the offer of eco-sustainable and CAM-compliant products. So at a regional level, for Friuli-Venezia region, formed an internal group from different departments to analyze the degree of implementation of GPP within the main regional purchasing agencies. So the action is the map of environmental certification. The starting point is that, as you know, green public procurement in Italy is mandatory since 2016. One of the great barriers, as my colleagues said before, was the implementation. For the implementation of GPP was related to the way to find and verify the compliance of green requirements during the tender. So this issue emerged as a priority during the first transnational learning event, and was confirmed as very important to the transition to a green market in the Work Café of regional stakeholders on November 2019. The objective of the map is to have clear and shared rules for the certification during tender, so that public administration could be able to award tenders with certainty and thus avoid any appeal to invalidate the awarded tender. Through the catalog, public administration will be able to verify which certification must insert for each sector and each environmental criterion placed. Furthermore, when checking the offer, the relevance of the certification with respect to environmental requirements can be verified. Moreover, referring to internal databases of each certification scheme, public administration will be able to verify the existence of the specific certificate presented. Okay. And how will be the catalog implemented? So activity number 1 will be a signing of an agreement that will create a working group, and the agreement will be between Friuli-Venezia region, Minister of Environment, and regional chambers of commerce. Activity number 2 will be the call for the identification for the expert that will be involved on the main implementation activities. And activity number 3 will be the working group meetings and consultations to support the expert in a range of activities for the feeding of the database, such as recognition of sectoral certification databases already existing at UL level, systematic collection of certification recognized in a European level and international level, and activity number 4 will be the IT implementation. Of course, the catalog will be an online database. So the catalog will present the following features. Division by CAM sector. The pilots will be 2, building and interior furnishing. Each sector will be split into environmental requirements set out in the CAM. So we have in furniture, use of hazardous substances, sustainable of wood, recycled content, and so on. There will be a matching between the environmental requirements and the individual environmental certification, so that each requirement will correspond to a certification, to a specific certification. Each compliant certification will be accompanied with a description of the object, field of application, release criteria, description of the label, and so on. For each certification scheme, there will be a reference to the specific database of the individual certificates issued and in force, updated in real time. So we think that this could be a real concrete help for public administration to have for the implementation and for the spread of GPP. So activity number 5 will be guideline drafting. Of course, that is the need for guidelines and a manual for the consultation of database. So instruction for the use, solution of specific cases, and so on. Activity number 6 will be a conference with the purpose of giving the best visibility to the catalog and of the expected results in terms of green supply of goods and service with a reduced environmental impact. There will be a presentation event addressed to the regional and local public administration. So activities about communication and dissemination. And here you can see activities that will take place during 5th and among 5th and 8th semester. And these are activities I showed before. And stakeholder involved that will be with, of course, Friuli Venezia region, that will be Ministry of the Environment, okay, and regional chambers of commerce, trade associations, and certification body, of course. Cost and funding resources. The estimated costs are 24,000 euros for a year, and 6,000 for the implementation, ET implementation part, and 18,000 for the expert activity. The funding sources have yet to be defined. Regional budget rescheduling. And I finish. Thank you.
Thank you, Simona. That was very interesting. Have we got some questions for Simona?
Mimi, I have one question.
Yes.
The call for experts is referring to an organization that is making GPP or a person who will evaluate and awarding the certification in question? I didn't understand that. It's a personal curiosity.
Okay. I took back my presentation because I closed it. And the expert is the person of the group of persons that will be involved in the creation and implementation of this database. And I think that this could be a property of that will be a property of public administration. So the expert will be involved in the phase, in the first phase. Maybe if the implementation will take 2 years. Will be 2 years long, and expert will do this activity and then lead this tool to the public administration.
I could maybe add something to Simona's answer about this. Do you hear me? Yes.
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 So we have to take into account that we have what's the legal framework in Italy for public administration. And this is one side of the question. The other side is the kind of expertise that could be quite broad. On the administrative part, we have 2 different procedures. If you want to hire an expert as a person, or if you want to make a contract with a company, so with a society. And actually, for Italian law on public procurements, it's much heavier to hire an expert. So usually what we do, we make a contract with a company that has inside it the expertise that is needed. And plus, hiring a company gives you a broader, usually gives you a broader expertise, because you can have a team instead than an expert. This is not decided yet, but this is the framework that we have as in Italian system.
Thank you.
So, if I can adjust a question to Simona. First of all, thank you for your presentation. And my question was related to the objectives of your action. You said that the objective is to have clear and shared rules for the certifications to the standards, so that public authorities could be able to award tenders with certainties, and thus avoid any appeal to invalidate the awarded tender. Is that right? So that means that the expected outcome is a lower number of appeals in the procuring process. So is that the expected outcome of your action, is to have a lower number of appeals in the procuring processes? Or in any case, you're expecting a higher number of tenders awarded without problems related to appeals and delays? And then I have another question which is related to this one. As you know, the problems of the regional operational program is to spend the allocated resources within a certain time frame. which is usually quite short. So is it possible to say that your action is aimed at reducing the risk of public beneficiaries not being able to spend the allocated resources because of appeals related to the certifications of the green standards? Can we say that the action improves the policy instrument because it reduces the risk associated with the implementation of the regional operational program? I'm sorry for the long question.
Okay, okay. I understand very well the first one. Maybe I'll ask you later to explain the second one, or maybe Nicola can help in the second question. So the first one is very is a very good question because it's related to the way to monitoring the success of this action, and there are two aspects. The first one, I think that, as I said in my presentation, I think that the purpose of one of the main purposes of a GPP is to increase the green market. So I think that this action goes in that way. So because I think that is more a problem of the way to recognize green products. So this tool can be very useful for this. And I don't know how can we measure the increasing of green market. Maybe you can find a way to do it. And I think that the fact that in this action will be involved Chamber of Commerce could be very useful for this. And the first plan is, as you said, the fact that a great problem for public administration, the biggest one, I think, is the risk to have appeal, and so the fact that they have to validate a tender. So and as you can see, a lot of invalidated tender was focused on the offer. So in many cases, public administration cannot verify the presence of environmental criteria in the offer, and so that is the problem that create the way to invalidate the tender. So I think that the second way to monitoring is to see so the loss of the invalidated tender, and how many appeal in next years will be less than in the previous year. So this is a easy way to monitor for monitoring this efficiency of this action. And so I have I must ask you to repeat the second question, please.
The second
no,
question.
yeah, it is related to this one. So it's just it was
okay.
A way to clarify the objective, clarify how the action improves the policy instrument that you are addressing.
Okay.
And it was more a suggestion. It was more a suggestion that it might be related to it might be think as an action that is aimed at reducing the risk of public beneficiaries not being able to spend the allocated resources because of the appeals. So it might be related to why are you improving? Why this action is improving the policy instrument? Because it reduces the risk for the public for the resources of not being spent by the beneficiaries in general. That was just a suggestion to clarify the objective, and that's it.
But also because okay, Nicolo.
Something, yes. Well, I would just like to underline that is a major issue in general for public administration to have the capability of spending. So that's a major issue, and that's even more important when you have to when you are in the framework of EU program like the POR phase, or the one that we are addressing. So it's always a major issue for administration because each procedure usually is quite long, and having appeal or any other issue makes problem, because also if you have a service or something, you have to somehow find a B plan, an alternative solution while you are appealing. So there is a lot of resources that are lost due to this, and you have money that is stuck on the budget. You don't spend, you don't advance with your spending plan. So that's definitely a major issue.
Okay, thank you very much. Have we got some more questions or even suggestions and comments for Friuli Venezia Giulia? No? Okay, thank you. Incredibly, we've almost made it by the timetable.
Yes.
I'm very surprised. So I hope this exchange was helpful for everyone, and you could take some inputs also from each other's actions. And I don't know if Matteo, do you want to make some final comments, if you have any, or?
No, I would like to thank you all. Thank you all the partners who participate to the working table and for the presentations, and yeah, as Sabina was saying, I hope we all hope that this might have been helpful for you to better focus on your action and to work on the improvement of your action plan. And so thanks a lot.
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It was very useful, and hope to see you on Thursday too.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye. Ciao.